The law of awareness says you must know yourself to grow yourself. James Russell Lowell, in your notes, no one can produce great things who is not thoroughly sincere in dealing with himself. What a powerful statement that is. You and I need to become aware of who we are, and we need to know what our passion is. We need to know what our purpose is. When people talk about themselves and trying to find themselves, I immediately talk to them about what is your passion, what is your purpose. Let me kind of walk you through this kind of quickly of how to figure this out, because this is so important in your awareness. The first question I would ask you about your passion is, do you like what you're doing now? Surprisingly, the majority of the people, when I ask them that question, say no. And this amazes me. I'll be just having a conversation. Hey, do you like your job? You know what? Most people say they don't. And sometimes they'll even look at me and say, well, you know, I don't really care for my job. What would you advise me to do? And then they don't like my advice, because when somebody tells me they don't like their job, I just immediately say, well, I'd quit. I have no idea. Now, please, maybe some of you can help me in the audience today. I have no idea why somebody would do something every day that they didn't like. This is beyond me. Why would a person go and do a job that they don't like and complain about it all day and call it life? And to be honest with you, I don't want to work beside them either, because it's bad enough for them to be miserable in their doing, but when they're miserable in what they're doing, guess what they do to you? They make you miserable. Haven't you just been beside miserable before? You know what I'm saying? You kind of felt good, but by the end of the day, you felt bad. And you said, well, what did I do to feel bad? You sat with that person. You know what I'm saying? So when people say, well, I don't like my job, what kind of advice do you give me? This is an IQ test. Quit. Why would you, it's beyond me. Why would you every day do something what is your passion? And yet I know people who literally spend their whole life, no wonder people look forward to retirement. They can hardly wait to get out. It's almost like prison. They're going to be free at last. The second question is, what would you like to do? Because there is a relationship between finding your passion and reaching your potential. That's a fact. What would you like to do? Let me just, since we're talking about personal growth, say that if you would have known me when I was in school, junior high and high school, I tell parents all the time, when parents are worried about their kids because their kids just seem to be goofing off, and they say, boy, my kids just don't seem to be buckling down. I always say, just relax, take a pill. Because if they would have seen me as a kid, as a parent, they would be greatly encouraged. Because when I went to school, it was nothing but, there was one thing about school was your friends. And I had a whole bunch of friends. And I didn't do studies. My study hall was going around visiting my friends. That was kind of like fellowship time for me. And I was playing ball, and I was enjoying myself. And I didn't get good grades, and I just basically, I was smart enough to wing it and get through high school. If you just hang in and breathe to get there, you know what I'm talking about. So it's not like a huge accomplishment. It's, can you just stick around long enough? They'll pass you, they kind of pass you up, you know what I mean? And my dad and I, we had these long talks. My dad and I have these long talks. He said, John, you just don't seem to be disciplined. You don't seem to be focused. You just want to play ball and be with your friends. And you're right, I wasn't. When I went to college, it turned around and moved. Because when I went to college, I was going to get a do now and study for something I wanted to do. And immediately I made the dean's list. Immediately I disciplined myself. And immediately I started studying. It wasn't really any problem. But can I tell you something? The reason I didn't do it in high school is because I wasn't getting what I wanted to get to go where I really wanted to go. And the moment me being pragmatic, that I found that I got the subjects down, I could study, they were going to prepare me for the ministry, I got all excited, passionate, the whole process. So you got to ask yourself, what would you like to do? Because when you find what you'd like to do, that ignites your passion. And when your passion is ignited, that begins to increase your potential. That's when you start moving up the potential ladder. Question number 3, can you do what you would like to do? That's a great question. Because some people are very passionate about doing something, but they're not any good at it. Now, if you're not any good about the thing you're passionate about, you don't want to make it a career, you want to make it a hobby. A hobby's a wonderful thing. You don't have to be good at it, you can just have it as a hobby. But don't make it a career. But I remember a guy that I had on staff out in San Diego. Dan, you'll remember this guy, I'll call him Joe, but he wasn't very happy, and I wasn't very happy because he wasn't very happy, and he was kind of dragging the rest of us down. So he and I sat down one day, and we had a lunch, and I looked at him, and I said, Joe, you don't seem to be happy here on staff. What would you like to do? And he looked at me, and he immediately knew what he wanted to do. He said, well, really, he said, what I really want to do in life is I want to be an announcer for the Chicago Cubs. And I looked at him, and I said, you're in trouble. Harry Carey's been the announcer for 20 years. He's going to be the announcer for the next 20. He's an icon. He's going to be the announcer till he dies. That is not a job you're going to get. Do you have a second option? What's plan B? Plan A ain't going to happen. If you said, John, what would you really like to do? What I'd really like to do is be a professional golfer. But there's a problem. I'm not any good. And when you're not any good, it is a drawback. When I play golf with guys and they make bad shots and they complain, I just start laughing at them. And I say, excuse me, do you do this for a living? Well, no. Well, then rejoice. Get real happy on those bad shots, because tell me, if you were doing this for a living, you'd be a poor man. You wouldn't have any money. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about when you're ready to find your passion and your purpose, you got to ask yourself, can I do this? There are just some things that you can't do, and it's not bad. You just have to face reality, and it's like watching the tryouts of the American Idol when they with passion get that microphone and they start belting out songs off tune, and everybody in the country's hitting the mute button. And the question I always have when I watch them is I see that and I think, they're good. Where are their friends? Shouldn't somebody come up to them and just say, could we talk? You can't sing. Why are you doing this? Question number 4. Do you know people who do what you would like to do? This is very key, because when I settled in what I wanted to do, I went and looked for the most successful people. It's the story of me giving $100 to the pastors that had the largest churches in America for 30 minutes of their time. And when I was given $100 for 30 minutes of the time, at that time I was in Hillham, Indiana, and I was making $4,100 a year. I didn't even make Lyndon Johnson's poverty program. But I was so desirous to learn. I was just so desirous to learn. I know it was way out of bounds. $100 was way. I did it. Question number 5. Will you pay the price to do what you want? So many people don't reach their potential because it's a price issue. They're unwilling to pay it. Number 6. When can you start doing what you'd like to do? And here's what's wonderful. If you have something that you would like to do but you aren't doing it now, what's wonderful is you can start. You can get going. You may not be able to get the job yet, but you can start. People come to me all the time and say, John, I would like to write a book. How should I get started? And I say, well, this is going to be a little more simple than you're ready for, but if you like to write a book, the way you get started is start writing. I know that seems a little basic, but books don't write themselves. Get a pen, get a paper. How about a sentence? Start there. Get good. That's what this law is all about. Understanding yourself, understanding your passion, knowing what your purpose is, and saying, now that I know who I am, I'm going to now how to grow myself. The law of awareness, it's huge.